All right, we're live.
All righty, everyone. Happy Friday. Happy Friday,
Yeah.
John Moran.
That's right. Happy Friday. It's nice being Friday, even though it doesn't feel like we get weekends being like, entrepreneurs and family men and all the other stuff. Just kind of,
Well,
shift
the
change.
family man stuff is supposed to be fun.
Oh, no, it definitely is fun. You don't get to sit down and relax for a little while, but it's fun.
Yeah, right. There's no time for John, I can't see you lying on the couch, I don't know, watching a movie in the middle of the Saturday afternoon anyway.
It's funny. It's I usually don't, but there's sometimes where I just go. I'm like, if I don't take 2 hours, I'm going to just keel over.
Just going to keel over flat on my face. Yeah.
So I'm like, hey, let's watch a movie, which is usually code for I need to sit down and relax for a minute.
Please, people.
I know, right?
No, I get it. Well, you and I are at slightly different stages of our kids. Now we have no kids. So it's me and Jen are like, what are we doing this weekend?
Yeah, you're lucky.
Well, it was, I wouldn't say it was 20 years of hell, but I would say it was 20 years of chaos.
Right. That's very true.
Wouldn't trade it for the world, though. It was absolutely amazing. So I actually kind of missed it last night. We're here in Boston this past week because I've been traveling almost nonstop for seems like the last month, as has Jen. And we were walking around our neighborhood, and it was all these little kids, and they're super cute little Halloween costumes.
Yep.
And, it's kind of the city. It's not really we didn't get any trick or treaters last night because we're in an apartment building. But
right,
what it was is we were walking through the neighborhoods, and I was like, oh my God, those days, they don't seem like that long ago, but that was 15 years ago.
I know. It seems like it's so and not at the same time. Yep.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, well, let's get to some crazy stuff here today. We've got a few things. First off, one of the things that I get asked a lot, and I was just at a conference. I was at the Smart Marketer conference in Denver, which was amazing. We did a whole show on it this week on perpetual traffic, so definitely check that out. I think that's coming out next week. But Ezra Firestone and Molly Pittman, and just a great group of humans there, as they say. One of the things that I was asked about quite a bit was this idea of ROAS sucks. Don't trust your in-app metrics. And I gave my answer to it, but I figured before we got into today's case study, which, by the way, this is breaking news here, never before revealed. I'm the guy who does the teases, by the way. I'm your hype man. I'm John Moran's hype. People ask me what I do for a living. I'm like, I'm John Moran's hype man. That's pretty much what I do. Anyway, I was asked a lot by individuals why do you guys say ROAS sucks? Why can you not trust in-app metrics? Instead of me answering it, I figured I'd get it right from you and what your thoughts are on it. And are there any exceptions to when you can trust in-app ROAS, or is it always don't trust it, and why?
So it's kind of funny. What we want to try to avoid saying is that's the complete sentence. Right. It's not that ROAS always sucks. ROAS will always suck ... if that's your only measurement of success. And that's what I think is a big difference is ROAS, it's almost like saying click-through rate sucks. It would if you're measuring your year-over-year growth over click-through rate. It's an important metric, but it's not the metric that defines growth. It can assist you as in one of the reasons why it's growing, but it's not the metric that defines growth. So I think what we usually say is ROAS sucks is just a fun way of saying if that's your only metric, then you suck. Really. And whether you're the business owner, you work in marketing, you work at an agency, you're a freelancer. If you say, hey, we're doing really well because of ROAS, that's where that whole statement sucks. Right. So, because no one really looks at ROAS and says, now my bank account must be big. And if it's not, say, well, then that's wrong. But you'll always have the opposite. And I think that's the reason why is ROAS always sucks if you're looking at in-app and measuring your contribution to the business. What you're saying, what's actually happening is that portion of the journey to continue them along, that costed X. Yeah. But by saying those words of that portion of the journey cost X, the logical person would say, well, what do the other parts cost? That's where your mind has to go. So when you're looking at ROAS sucks, it's ROAS sucks if it's your only measurement, or don't measure your full, contribution to the company by measuring your portion of their customer's journey.
Right.
And that's what that truly means.
Right. So ROAS sucks is it's a catchphrase. I mean,
Right.
I think, we
Easy to
started
remember.
saying that. Yeah. I mean, it's a marketing statement. However, marketing sucks if you're using particular in-apps or one platform as your sole source of success, or you're using it in isolation. That's when ROAS really sucks.
Yeah.
More so than anything.
Exactly.
The one exception to that, I got into a conversation with somebody, is like, well, what if you only have one channel going and that's it? Your only paid channel is just Meta.
Mm-hmm.
Does ROAS suck in that case?
Yes. Because you won't know the impact that those campaigns are having to the business.
Mm-hmm.
You won't be able to measure the amount of attribution you're losing between what you're seeing and what your actual contribution is. You won't be able to know, if I were to increase this area, does it have an overall effect on the business? And usually if you're using ROAS as your benchmark, you can't scale, because no one's going to say, well, I have a 1x over here and a 4x over here. Let's dump all the money in our 1x, because your mind is already stuck in thinking, well, if I put all my money there, I'm only going to get 1x return. But if I put all my money there, I get a 4x return.
Right.
It's not true.
It's not
because true. Because you're also, again, cherry picking. Well, this portion of the journey costs X.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I think that's how much money do you want to put into each part of the journey so that it's optimized as effectively and as efficiently, in order to keep the good top line metrics safe and higher volume with those good metrics if it's performing. But you're going to have to invest ad spend into a sucky ROAS campaign. Mm-hmm. And that's where that usually stops. The number one thing that every business wants to do, doesn't matter if you're a company that's on Google Grants and you're a nonprofit, every business wants to scale. It's pretty much it. I mean, pending they have the inventory and that kind of stuff. But no one gets in the business to be like, I never want this to grow. So that herein lies the matter as to which ROAS sucks, because what clients misunderstand when they cross into the realm of digital marketing instead of staying in the realm of selling athletic socks is that everything is not the same. Everything cannot be measured equally.
Right.
And it's a weird cognitive dissonance that everyone goes through. They don't practice it, but they preach it. They won't practice it in their area of expertise, but they'll know it in yours, and vice versa. Yeah. It's like, hey, why don't you use polyester instead of cotton? They'll tell you 70 reasons why you're wrong. But then they hop into ours, I'm just using it as an example, and then say, hey, that one doesn't have a 4x ROAS. The problem is, well, listen, the industry listens. I say, oh, okay, well, crap. All right, well, yeah, you're right. It doesn't have a 4x. Oh, maybe this isn't working well. And that's where ROAS sucks. That whole conversation is the blind leading the deaf.
It becomes, misguided.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's where I would say is always ROAS sucks it's a metric. It's not the metric. That's it.
Right. Yeah. Makes sense. I think there was a point in time way back when we first started, we were a Facebook ads agency before Instagram, before all the other stuff. And it was the single source, and your attribution back to Facebook was pretty darn good.
Yeah.
And it was a simpler world back then. A lot of people were single channel. We dealt a lot in single channel advertisers, and then they had email. So what we would always say is we'd say, all right, well, here's what your in-app metrics look like. But what's also going on inside your CRM? Let's compare it to that. How much money are you actually collecting? How many, not marketing qualified leads, how many sales qualified leads are you collecting through our ads? Even though it looks like we're getting all these leads that are coming in the door and no two leads are made equally. The point is that you have to be able to look just a little bit further. Even back then, we still looked past the platform. I think if you take away with that, at the end of the day, the thing that matters the most is money in the bank account, right?
Yep.
It's new customer acquisition, cost at a cost that will enable you to scale and grow your business and ultimately bring you in more money, and ultimately not even more money, it's also profit.
Yep.
So like, that's it. So it's like, you can take it one step further, but at the end of the day, it's like you're doing this marketing stuff to be more profitable way over here.
Yeah, right. That's exactly right. Everyone's only in business to turn a profit. Like there's very rare times where they say, hey, I hope we don't turn profit. That's non-profit, but even then, it's only non-profit because it goes into their paycheck. But everybody wants to grow. Everyone wants to scale. Yeah. The one thing I would ask all the advertisers too, and anybody that touches a Google ad or a Meta account, is there almost seems to be kind of like this last decade of people, and it's going to get very philosophical. So go with me on this weird journey, but I think everyone's going to kind of, be in this or not.
Philosopher John.
In the last few years, the digital marketing industry has exploded. It's 90% of all digital spend is through like Meta, YouTube, and Facebook, and then obviously you have TikTok, Pinterest that make up a small portion of it. But it's pretty much like that's the number one thing that businesses use besides like TV is digital marketing. So it is a massive industry who has opened up a lot of new. How many digital marketing agencies are there? You have that number?
I think it's 344,000. It's either that or 433,000. But let's say if it's half of that, it's 200,000. Let's say that's a lot.
So 200,000. Now, the problem with them is how many of them have been doing it since 2010?
Not many.
2015.
Not many at all.
Right. Maybe 2020. Probably a lot of them spawned from COVID, probably too.
There was an explosion. There was a 10% increase right after 2020, and it's been actually increasing in single digits ever since.
Yep. And most of the people that I talk to in this industry, to the people that reach out to me on LinkedIn, ask questions, everything, are probably, I get a whole thing. John, I've just started doing Google Ads 1, 2, 3 years ago. Like, what would be something you would tell me? And I get all those type of questions from a lot of new people, and there is a lot of new people. There's some experts out there, obviously, for sure. There's people that have been doing it, but sometimes they work in the back corner of some building, and no one gets to talk to them in the public, and they just do their thing, and they're awesome. But they may not be here,
right?
But those type of people, I believe, are not necessarily people that cut their teeth on entrepreneurial or business growth. They didn't measure old school ways. They didn't measure radio, TV, newspaper.
We were just talking about that actually not too long ago.
Oh, really?
You and I were like business, like looking at it like a business person.
Exactly. Yeah. And so that's the thing is they don't necessarily look at it from a business growth point of view. They are trained in a silo. They're taught in a silo. They're expected by their clients in a silo. And it's very hard to break out. Well, if my client, my boss, and the report all say ROAS, why don't I focus on that? And that's what's very interesting is the businesses don't know enough to say, don't look at ROAS, make me profitable. And there's no one else saying this. It's very, very odd. It is the weirdest thing. But if you said, what's a ROAS of radio, TV, newspaper? They're like, well, we have to measure top line. Well, why not do that with YouTube and Meta and even search when you can't track a conversion? And that's where ROAS sucks. That's always that point. So I think we've seen a surge of people who are just like status quo, because that's what majority of people and majority of businesses want and need to do. And then there's a upper echelon people who have been doing this, doing marketing for companies since the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. They're like, yeah, you can use those metrics, but I'm not going to replace what got us here 50 years ago.
Right.
And that's what we're doing is we're using radio, TV, newspaper. And that's what's great is there is no ROAS on radio, TV, newspaper, because the smart people in the room know that's not possible.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter anyway.
Yeah. In a lot of ways, I think we got spoiled. Like these platforms came out and just all of a sudden we think we can measure everything. You can never measure everything.
Well, I think also the iOS left a whole bunch of orphans.
Yeah, it really did.
It's like, welcome to digital marketing. Here is your very good quality data. Go and learn it for the next 2 years, and we'll take it away.
Yeah, we'll take it away in 2021. What a nightmare that was. And they didn't know what the hell to do. So, now they actually model their data to a certain degree. So, I mean, you need solutions for that, which we've obviously talked about here multiple times. But yeah, okay. Well, I think that's a good clarification. I also think that people are very interested in what's going on inside the laboratory. Yep. What is John doing in there, blowing stuff up, mixing different things? It seems like there's less explosions these days. There's more like, here's what we found and it's working, like the 2-step strategy. Obviously, we've shown that for one of our clients a couple of shows here, and we also, it was so good, we put it over on perpetual traffic as well. If you're not a perpetual traffic listener, definitely check that out, perpetualtraffic.com. You've got a new case study with some data for the two-step strategy with Google Shopping. Is that what a little birdie told me?
That's right. And what's interesting about this is I think there's less breaking and more breakthroughs, because from the breaking, we found the breakthroughs. You know, it's almost like if you want to figure out how the clock works, you got to take it apart. Like last week, it was like, okay, I took the clock apart. Look how many parts are in here. This week, it's like I put it together better.
You're piecing them back. Where does that gear go?
I know. It's like when you're a kid messing around. I don't know if I'm the only weirdo that did this, but it's like when you put the lawnmower back together and you have spare parts, you're like, it works, but I'm kind of
worried. 100%. I was that dude. I was that kid.
Yeah,
I was like, where's this really large, like 4-inch bolt go? I'm not sure where that, like, is that important?
Then you find out after the blade flies off. You're like, oh, I was holding the blade off.
Yeah, that was me. Yep.
Oh, that was holding on the blade. That's
right. I have no more foot now. Great.
Yeah, I didn't realize it until I turned it on and spun it around.
Oh my God. You know that bolt. Anyway. All right. Yeah. So coming out of the lab here, less stuff blowing up, more stuff coming together. This is exciting.
Yeah. So we have an update to feeder strategy, two-step strategy, whatever you want to call strategy, where one feeds the other. Again, everyone, hopefully, if you've seen more than 2 or 3 episodes here, you'll know that we have a feeder strategy for search. We've discussed that last week and the week before. We won't beat that dead horse.
Yep.
There's now a feeder strategy for shopping. And I was in the lab breaking things and failing a lot. That was where I was like, oh, I don't need that, and that doesn't work. And I'm ripping this thing apart, and found out that when you try to take 2 standard shopping campaigns and feed each other with it, it just doesn't work. The platforms are not set up for that type of hack that we could do in search. Right. You got intent search terms in keyword, in intent and keyword match. In shopping, you have intent and then like one placement for one PLA, and it's the same PLA in every account. So it's almost like, unless you're cloning products, you can't get this to work. I had an idea to get this to work on cloning. That blew up too. So what has come from the explosions and smoke and green goop flying out of the lab is actually a model that works now. And it was actually Google that just handed it right to me in my lap. And that was Google 2 weeks ago said, hey, the Performance Max campaign is no longer going to default to the ultra highest priority. It's actually going to be now up to the campaigns to whichever campaign has a higher ad rank, which is whatever campaign pays us more CPC pretty much. I know there's a few other things, the quality score and all the other stuff like that, 90-page experience, blah, blah, blah. But it's pretty much like 80% of that weight that is given to ad rank is what's paying me the most amount of money. So we get to leverage it. So what we done is we took a feed only PMax campaign with one product. And then we took a standard shopping campaign also with one product. And we ran those side by side with that same individual SKU against each other with basically like it was $2,600 per day, so $2,500 a day. So 1/6 ad spend that now turned into 1/3 ad spend. We started with a 1/6 ad spend where the PMax only had 1/6 of the budget and standard shopping had 5/6 of the budget. Started working well, and then we increased the ad spend into $1,000 per day in PMax and $2,600 per day in standard shopping. So we ended up doubling the ad spend of the PMax campaign. Now, I'll share screen. I can't, let me actually just change one thing. This is a client that I do not have permission to share their information. So I'm white labeling everything but the results. So we won't be able to see Google CID, can't see my login, can't see anything here. I'm just rewriting everything over to hidden. I already changed the name of the campaign, so we should be good to go. Okay, let me share screen.
So if I'm understanding you correctly, you're using PMax as your TCPA or TROAS campaign, and you're shopping as your feeder campaign. Larger budget on the feeder on the first step, and then less budget on the second, but you sort of reconfigured that, rejiggered it a bit.
Exactly. So the standard shopping campaign here is the feeder strategy. Now, what's interesting is this is actually opposite of the feeder strategy. The feeder strategy in search has your TCPA at a higher ad spend than your sacrificial campaign, which is your max clicks with exact match. This is a turn the other way around. Reason being is because PMax has the added bonus of being able to remarket omni-channel.
Sure.
And when that campaign is too high of ad spend, it will target everybody it wants to, including people that it is in people that are outside of what you're able to feed it. So
Right.
it's hungrier than the standard shopping campaign can deliver the volume of people.
Got it. Makes sense.
So now the standard shopping campaign that has been running actually for over 2 years in this account, this is the same campaign, was not able to reach daily ad spend. It was missing it by about 40%.
Okay.
And I only had 100% TROAS goal added to it. So I used a fairly low TROAS. And the PMax campaign, I set it at 200% ad spend. And I said, all right, let's do 200% and see if we can have this campaign remarket the good traffic coming from standard shopping, and then also find some easy, fast, and cheap kills that standard shopping may not have the budget for or may not be able to go after. So I get kind of a feeder strategy along with a dual prong approach. The feeder strategy is the standard shopping feeding into a tag, which is then remarketed by PMax. The dual prong approach is everybody that PMax is able to identify and bid on that's outside of my feed's capability for keyword match is actually going to be given back to standard shopping because I have lower targets on standard shopping. Standard shopping can go after what PMax cannot. So they actually feed each other.
Okay.
PMax says, hey, I found Ralph. Ralph wants to buy it, but Ralph's not a 200% or a better ROAS. You take it. You have the ability. You have the better ad rank in order to go after that person.
Okay.
Now, standard shopping says, yeah, but if I get that first click and then they have a high amount of chance of conversion, you take it. So they can feed off of each other because they have two different targets. One just has the added susceptibility for doing remarketing. So that one deserves a higher TROAS because I want them to be a first click expensive, second click cheap.
Got it.
The results are fairly similar though. So in this last 8 days, we've been able to increase our ad spend 77%. So it went from 14,000 up to 25. Now that was because PMax feeder strategy spent $5,000. But what I did not expect, and this is something that is new to me, that's what I had to dig real deep in order to find out why this happened. But that's where my standard shopping campaign that couldn't spend the full budget started spending 40% more. This was untouched.
Okay.
And I can prove this with screenshots. I just can't do it right now because I can't show anything layered deeper in this account than that. But this has a 77% increase in total because we added 5K and then standard shopping spent 5K. So we added 5K from each. This was unintended. This just ended up happening because I believe the massive reach that and impressions that PMax can find, it couldn't target them. And that's why standard shopping could. The impressions are massive in Performance Max. We already know that. So when we look at the impressions, because it does a lot of remarketing, but there's half as much impressions also on the search network, though, too, in shopping. There's half the amount of impressions, but it's asinine to think that it went through 728,000 people. Said, there's no one I can't go after. Of course, the tag knows these people. And so that's what's interesting is that is given the standard shopping capability of spending more. So then we look at the conversion value. The conversion value is up 97% in app. Now, what is good is I've already gone through and I can prove it behind the scenes. Again, we'll probably do it like in a different video so I can prove it. I don't like showing in-app ROAS because it doesn't actually make sense, but it does give me ability to say, okay, is this also going to match up to top line? And it is. And that's something that I do have screenshots for that I could share. But the PMax feeder strategy, the PMax feeder strategy added in, allow both of these to spend more. And then this one actually also started to attribute more. Now, it did reduce ROAS. It did go from an in-app ROAS of 91 down to 74. And then this one just shot off right immediately at 200. So my global change of in-app ROAS went up 10%. Okay. Again, these are not right. They're not 100% correct, but they're trending in the right direction is what I need to see first. Again,
it's an indicator that you're on the right path.
Exactly. ROAS sucks because it's not the be all, but it is important to measure.
It's important to look at.
Exactly. If this thing just tanked down, I'd be like, oh no. And I go look at the back end and probably see it tank down. It's increasing. And I look at the back end and it's also increasing. And so we see the conversion value is higher than this cost, which obviously means that we have a higher amount of ROAS. Now, one of the reasons as to which is, why? Well, we have 6,300 clicks compared to 8,600 clicks. So 1/4 because it went from like 1/5 to 1/3. So basically 1/4 of the ad spend has been spent inside of PMax feeder strategy. But I've generated about 80% of the clicks. So the CPC is very low, which actually does make a lot of sense. Now, when the CPC came out, this thing went from $1.98 to $2.28, and this one went down, or this one started off at 83 cents because it is doing also remarketing. So that's okay.
Of course.
Now, the crazy part is all of the inbound search that I see through Insights Performance Max are all non-brand. They're 100% non-brand. I did do two things though, and I did this on purpose. And if you are going to do this, I would highly suggest you all doing this as well. I did use a bid for new customers only because this account spends about, I think, $1 million a week on Meta. So that $1 million a week is going to be obviously a lot of traffic and that kind of stuff. Now, this is only a singular product, so we're okay there. But I didn't want this PMax to jump in and say, look at all of these people that I get to go after who are existing customers. So I wanted that added layer of security that I uploaded a recent customer list and then turned on bid for only new customers. So that's in the Performance Max campaign. That's like one of the big caveats that I did here. So that's just something that would say, if you're going to try this, if you do have omni-channel, if you do have a lot of good brand awareness, and if you do have good returning customers, make sure that you enable that. It may not do anything, or it may help. It's showing that it actually is helping pretty much.
Got it.
Now we're using a third-party attribution tool, which shall not be named. Interestingly enough, inside of that, it shows that my Performance Max and my standard shopping are both 68% cold. They're identical. They're 68.4, 68.7, but they're both 68% cold. So the third-party attribution is saying, hey, these are actually both going after colder audiences. Good. That's kind of what I want. I want this campaign to go after as many cold people I want as possible, but because it's using a TROAS, it needs some blend of warm in order to predict the future of who's going to convert. Same thing with PMax, but they're at different levels. Now, there's a couple things that maybe if you're really good at Google Ads, you kind of noticed in this demonstration, and you may have some questions. And same thing that I did, and I'll kind of go right off the bat. First thing I asked myself is, why did my standard shopping campaign ROAS dip? Why did this go from 91 down to 74? Well, yes, one of the things that's going to happen is this is going to spend more, which usually causes a ROAS dip. Right. But I think the bigger thing that we're seeing here is this 91.28% ROAS used to be a blend of people that were producing ROAS at 50 and 200. All we did was we just scraped off the 200, gave it over there, and that's the delta of what the other average high side was. So now we have more of the average low side. Exactly.
Yeah. You're slicing the pie in a different way now.
Exactly. It's like take half of your good and move it over there. What are you left with? The average and the bad. Okay, so you tick left, and all the good goes over to the right. But the volume increase is massive. I went from not being able to spend the full daily budget to then being able to get much closer to spending the full daily budget, and then tacking on an additional 5K there. Yeah. Both cold. Let me just see something. I don't think this is going to be an issue. Let me log into the back end of this client's metrics. I'm just going to use first click dashboard on Shopify. That might be something that we can kind of at least show that I'm not full of, hot air. I almost swore there.
You can swear on the show, actually. We're not going to get banned off YouTube.
Oh, we can?
Sure. Why not? Makes it more fun.
Fuck yeah.
Maybe take a toll. We used to not swear on perpetual traffic, and then as soon as we started to, our listenership went up. So go figure.
People love it.
So just like speak your mind.
It's like about fucking time.
Start swearing.
All right.
Dang it. I do have to say, people would always comment, don't say the G word, as in G-O-D.
Yeah.
People don't like that. And I also say the JC word all the time.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Well,
I used to say Jesus Cristo. I don't know why. It was just a fun way of saying
that. I say Jesus Christmas. So it's sort of the same thing. Yeah.
All right.
So we
here we
go.
Off here, I think this should work.
So for those of you who just joined, we are actually talking about, for the very first time, the feeder strategy using Google Shopping plus Performance Max, the two-step strategy using Google Shopping. A lot of people, so this is obviously our first, really, is this your first e-commerce test on this, or successful test?
First, yeah. Yeah, and there's another person. I think it's I think Joey Bittner. He was actually, we were chatting. He tried the same thing that I did, only he had the idea of trying max clicks, and I just went low T ROAS on our standard shopping.
Yeah.
And it turns out low T ROAS is better. He's like, that didn't work at all. He's like, my relevancy went from like 55% down to 35%. I'm like, yeah, I don't think that was going to work. Okay. Here's what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take screenshots, and you're just going to all have to trust me that's coming from the same account, because I cannot get the brand name away from like the title, the top right login, everything. And I cannot show this client. So
I have a feeling I know who this is. So yes, well stated. Even though this will be blurred out in the replay, but we've got a bunch of people on the call here, so we don't want to. Confidentiality is very important.
Absolutely.
Yes.
All right. 22.
Don't want to piss off our clients. So anyway, so this is a way. So as you're looking for that, the question always comes back to, like, man, this is actually a question in the comments, which we'll get to all the comments, all your questions before the end of today's show, is why is it that when you add more budget, why does standard shopping not spend more? Like that always, and Meta does the same thing to a certain degree with conversion, with like a lot of campaigns, but is it like, what is it about standard shopping that doesn't allow you? Is it just you have reached the max of the market? There's no other buyers. You have to split them up with other people. Like, what's your sense? What's the reason
about why you can't scale standard shopping that well?
Yeah.
Yeah, because your target is going to limit what Google is going to allow you to spend versus what they want to charge you. So you're like, hey, I want to increase this 100%. You're like, okay, but I'm going to have to double your CPC. And you're like, yeah, but that's going to throw off your target. And then they say, okay, cool. Either increase the target or you get what you get.
Right.
So it's like your next level up, what they call like an upper echelon auction, which all that means is, oh, you want the better ones and more of them? Yeah, you're going to have to increase your CPC.
Yeah.
But that means your ROAS target target has to drop. So it's like you can get more, but you have to take less margin. And they're like, no, I want to have all the margin and get more. And Google just says no.
They're like, no. We're not selling you that.
Right. So here's first click.
You shall not have those converters unless you are willing to pay thine price. Exactly. Really, that is it.
It's just price fixing. That's all
it is. It's price fixing.
There's no more auctions.
100%.
So this is before October 13 and 21.
And that's not a conspiracy theory, by the way. John has proved that. So just for those of your conspiracy theory, there are people out there like it's totally true. So go ahead.
You'll just see here, like Google first click in the week of 13 and 21, 2,200 new customers, 22 to 30, Google 2,600 new customers. So we even tracked first click in Shopify app of 400 new customers in last week, and also 581 and 543. So we increased our conversion rate 0.40%. So it definitely, I can dive deeper for sure. I just got to, hop into their third-party attribution account, go into these campaigns, all the stuff that I can't share. But you can see here, it's like first click Google, it's doing better. And that's the only change that we made this last week. We kept it in isolation on purpose. So I think that's kind of interesting, is that Performance Max is powerful. It is smart. It is conversion only focused. That thing rocks until it goes after the wrong audience.
Right.
That's the bad part, is it will hunt down the wrong people, and there's nothing you can do about it. So with the feeder strategy, with standard shopping, you get two things. You get one, obviously a good streamline of high intent, good position, quality search term users who are looking to buy. The next thing that you also get, though, is that Performance Max will do the same thing. And now you can run them at an equal, and you're buying versus, kind of sniping with remarketing. And those two combined, it's really powerful stuff for sure. I know we're getting probably closer to the 22-minute mark. I want to jump into some Q&A, but this feeder strategy for e-commerce, again, we're a week into it. So I don't know everything that's going to happen. I don't have all the answers. We're breaking more stuff as this goes along. I have about 9 other versions of this test live right now, but we're going to find out some really kind of kick-ass things. And so far, we've tried this also on Meta, and that's working well. So we got a whole bunch of more stuff for you all to kind of sink your teeth into and just, get your mind blown by all those amazing facts and knowledge bombs that we're dropping over here. But cool stuff for the first week. Not bad.
It's pretty cool. This is good stuff. So you're seeing it as it actually happens. I mean, this is literally like you're merging out of the lab, hair on fire. Oh, sorry. I was sort of like, in Back to the Future, when Doc comes out of the lab, he's like this, he's got the hair, everything's like smoking. Marty, here's what I got. Great Scott. And just for clarification, this is one product in this product portfolio of this customer you're doing this for. One SKU.
Yeah, just one product, just one SKU.
One SKU. Okay.
One SKU.
Like,
I have another one. I have another campaign with just one SKU. That's like nothing even close to this one. I got to figure out why. And then I have another campaign that has all SKUs in standard shopping that I just bolted on in all SKUs PMax. That's rock and rolling too.
That's cool.
So we have a whole bunch of stuff. It's case by case. I'll go into detail later when we
a lot of stuff to come here. And then we're going to throw in some creative stuff too. We're going to get Lauren back on here as well. But for the next couple of weeks, it seems like it's me and you. But anyway, all right. So let's get to some very cool. It's just us dudes for right now. So a lot of Google, and we'll be doing the meta stuff too. So let's make sure that we understand there are two sides to the same coin. 80% of your traffic, probably, if you're paying for it, is coming from those two places. All right. Jose V says, question: how would you set budgets for cold acquisition campaigns to anticipate short and very low sales periods like Christmas to New Year's holidays? Very appropriate question here.
Yep. So for cold acquisition campaigns on both, even actually Meta and Google, you can increase your budget if you start earlier. And I know that short and low sales periods are, they're like Christmas to your New Year's. If you started to do marketing earlier, you can actually have a higher budget depending upon the offer. But if you're looking at like short and low sales periods of Christmas to New Year's holiday, or like, your 3 days before Black Friday, like those kind of things where it's like, it's really low. All of that is going to be only dictated by, well, what are you planning, or what did you already do before? So I can't expect to have an amazing week up to Black Friday and Cyber Monday if I went dormant, pulled back ad spend, did nothing but just wait to press the email button. Yeah, of course. I can't. If I spend $1 between that time period, it's completely wasted. I might take one person and becoming slightly interested for them to think about it. Hey, in 3 days, I'll then come back. So it's all what you're going to do before and the offer. If you're looking at Christmas, New Year's, and holidays, I would say that you want to tease them with a product or a service, depending upon your industry. I would imagine because there's short sales cycles and sale periods, you're talking about e-commerce. So I would say, like, before Christmas, a week up before Christmas, say we're going to be running a special on this product. Not all products, and not wait to see. This product is going to go on sale. So don't take your whole SKU. Hopefully you have more than one SKU, but don't take your whole SKU list and be like, don't buy anything until next week. Trust me, it's going to be great, because then you just kill your sales. But you could say either a value add or a promo on a SKU. So think about your new versus returning users and customers. If you do have a 30, 40, 50% return customer rate, sometimes you can say is refillable is going to have or a consumable is going to be on sale. So doctor's offices, eye cups and Q-tips. If you have, if you sell running shoes, shoelaces, insoles, like something that can spark a little bit of interest, be like, oh yeah, I do need one of those. It's not something I was planning on. It's a little bit less expensive. It is a good deal or at a great value. And I know about it and I'm waiting for the email. But all that has to be built in anticipation, put in people's mind with repetition, then launched. If you don't do this ad spend, might as well not run anything. Just turn it off and wait 3 days. So it really depends on what your offer is, the AOV, how many users that you have that are returning customers, and if you do have more than one SKU. But I would say build some hype on something that's not going to interrupt, but just be like, it's like a pop quiz in school. It's not going to change your whole grade, but hey, you're going to learn something today. Yeah,
you're going to get a little bit more LTV there, like between those
flash
periods.
Sale.
Yeah, like flash sale kind of stuff. Yeah, good question. A lot of hellos from everyone. Artur, thank you for coming.
Yeah, and great, sorry for the delay. My camera does not work anymore. I haven't had working it for Google Meets all day, but I tested this thing 3 times, StreamYard, and then when I finally got here, it was just like, cannot find plugins. So I'm texting Ralph, I'm like, can't find my camera. And then it just popped on. So
I know,
sorry for the delay, everyone.
Hey, we're even on X today.
Whoa.
You believe that? X finally worked. We finally figured out you go to x.com, not twitter.com. It took us like 3 months to figure that out. What the hell? All right. Great to see you, Artur. John Moran's disciple is here. Fabulous. Badea Tudor says, hey, John Moran's disciple has a question. Of course. Are dedicated remarketing campaigns using RLSAs still relevant? Thoughts on when to use this strategy?
So smart bidding has kind of replaced RLSA, unfortunately. And we said we actually covered this topic again on a previous live, but TCP and ROAS is RLSA. That's all it is. But instead of us saying like, hey, if they come back because they've been here, we'll pay less. Google said, hey, if they come back, you get to pay more now. So the only way that you can actually use RLSA is if you're on like a manual CPC and the campaign that's actually feeding that RLSA is not on automated bidding. What that means is that if you're having a standard shopping campaign, let's just do search. So you got a search campaign bringing in the first click, goes into another search campaign with an RLSA targeted and a 90% reduced CPC. But the first campaign says, oh, Bob's coming back. And it just kind of skips over the campaign that has now the low ad rank because you didn't want to spend so much. And the TCP or TROAS or whatever this search campaign is going to do is say, I think I can get this person. There goes your CPC up 100%, but you get the sale. And that's why you can't scale with the proper profit margin. So RLSAs get wiped out from automated bidding. Not entirely. You'll still see it. But everything I try to teach in terms of strategy should be 1,000% scalable. And that, unfortunately, just means that it's not.
Got it. Makes sense. Roel. I think we always
love
butcher his name, everyone.
By the way, John, I started to saying Noel to his name.
Noel and Roel. You know, he seems to think it was pronounced.
Could be a she too, or they too. Who knows?
I don't know. I'm just gonna say roll. John,
that's so good.
Do you ever use non-conversion objectives in Meta? Ralph often talks about going full funnel with like video views, but your L1, L2, L3 setups are all conversion at top of funnel as well. Interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, we do use there's some industry trade secrets that I won't teach everybody, but there's a good one
for those.
Right. There is a good one that has to do with it's a traffic strategy, but it's actually a conversion objective, and the conversion objective is page view. So, or view content. So that basically says, you know, you'll get to see the site. Meta gets to tag the person. Very important. You get to have some semblance of a higher frequency for first click remarketing. So it keeps them interesting. Yeah. Traffic campaigns are okay, but they're really junky. You get a lot of spam. You get outside of the country. And then you also get like less than 1 second page view. And then the last thing is the frequency is also really low. So once the ad blows by them, you pay for it, but they were like, what was that? Like they may not even have seen it. So those, you know, traffic campaigns that are in the sense of a conversion campaign with page view conversion target, that one works. We do use that. That is what usually when you're at the point where L1, 2, and 3, or even just L1, L3 now, which is the new strategy we're using, or actually L0, L3 with ABO. There's a whole bunch of shit that we're doing. But once it gets to the point where, hey, this doesn't work anymore, I can't buy any more conversions, I need to now go buy traffic. Feeder strategy, kind of same thing.
Yep. Same thing. Yeah. I mean, we have a number of clients just like to answer that question that we use the feeder strategy with a website conversion objective for page view. Exactly like what you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
And, you know, read this blog post article and then we're going to retarget you for, you know, it works really well in the charity niche, for example. Like that's a great strategy. But it's the same idea. What you're also doing is with website conversion and just as a follow-up, the role here isn't conversion objective mean in-market audiences regardless of exclusions. It does mean that. However, you can sub-segment out based upon your objective different ways to attack that same market using the website conversion objective. And like John says, when you reach sort of a maximum or you're starting to sort of hit that CPA or NCAC goal and it's starting to creep up, you try different objectives, but you might actually try the website conversion objective for a different objective of the conversion.
Yep.
We used to do a lot of like add to cart to prime the pixel and then use all those audiences and then target them for purchases. That doesn't really work quite as much anymore. That's a TikTok strategy that does work fairly well still. It's almost like that algorithm is, you know, 7 or 8 years behind Meta, but not going to that extreme now. If you do that on Meta now, you'll just find a lot of people that'll add to cart.
Yeah. Do you think it has to do with it being a Chinese knockoff?
Could be, possibly. So yeah.
Like, I figured out what TikTok happened. It's made in China.
That's right. That's right. Hey, it is what it is. You know, there's no espionage going on there. Of course, they're not looking at the
it's the Walmart great value version of a pixel.
You got that right. Absolutely, at half the price, third the price. All right. Saul Goodman says, "Hey, does in-app ROAS suck because conversions can't be completely tracked? Is conversion tracking still decaying on Google Ads?"
Can I tell you a secret?
only 100,000 people are going to hear it here, but yeah, go ahead.
So I'm halfway through Better Call Saul, and I completely didn't even hear the question because I just saw Saul Goodman and I started laughing to myself.
Better Call Saul. I'm still working
Saul
through
Goodman.
Breaking Bad, by the way.
Oh
yeah,
my God.
I know.
Yeah.
I got too
Saul
amped
Goodman.
up. Like I watch TV at night. I don't know if I told you that before. That's my problem.
Yep.
It's like I can't go to bed when I watch it.
Yes.
I have to watch it like a Saturday afternoon, like what we were talking about before. So anyway,
so I that's why I was like kind of nerding out. Like, can we share screen? That's when
Yeah.
as soon as I mean it's spelled exactly the same way as a Better Call Saul guy. So I was like Saul Goodman.
Maybe that's just his stage name.
That's what I'm wondering. My mind went, is that a real
name?
name or is it like a John Moran disciple, Saul Goodman?
Maybe
Like
it's
I'm going to show up
actually
as
him.
Walter White next week.
Yeah, Walter White. Yeah. Maybe.
All right. Does in-app
Possibly.
ROAS suck because conversions can be completely tracked? Is conversion tracking still decaying? Glad. So yes and yes, but there's a whole bunch of more. I hate being like, don't use that. That's stupid. That sucks. And you're like, well, why? Everyone else likes it. And what's a better idea? So in-app ROAS doesn't necessarily suck. Here's what you have to think about though. Your first click prospecting YouTube is never going to look even remotely close to the same as your last click branded search. They will never. If you want 400% in both of them, it's almost physically impossible. Like everybody that knows about me and wants to buy from me, they go there. And then everyone that knows about me and wants to buy from me, but has never heard of me and has no idea what I'm selling, they go there. It's like that's a physical impossibility.
It's two separate locations, really.
Exactly. Yeah. So don't measure in-app ROAS sucks. Mean just expect and benchmark. I expect a low ROAS from a first view or a first click. I expect maybe even no conversions. I expect a lower click-through rate on my prospecting campaigns. I expect this to forge a new road. It's going to take a while to clear out the dead trees and lay down, like the concrete, then pour asphalt on top of it, then draw. Like that's going to take a while. The road back that's coming into your building's already got people in cars on the way in. You're forging a new road. It's going to suck. It's going to take time. It's going to be expensive. But a brand new road is not going to look identically efficient to the road already in. And that's how you have to think about your prospecting versus your brand. You're sending people out or sending good things out to get good people come back in. You measure them differently. You provide different budgets to them. It's just simply how much of my budget allocation should be going towards cold traffic that allows the full funnel to produce a person on the other side after middle and bottom funnel are ironed out, which are easier, that is profitable, and then scale. But you're scaling 1x, you're scaling 2x, and you're scaling 5x. Your brand, your middle of the funnel, your prospecting, your middle of the funnel, and good high quality search, and your brand, you're scaling all of them. You want to build all the same roads again. And so that's what's interesting is in-app ROAS doesn't suck. Is that people look at something and say, if that's not as good as my brand, it's not worth it. That's not possible.
Yeah, just can't be.
Yeah, exactly. And yes, conversion tracking is still decaying. Kinda. It was last month. It was supposed to have stopped. It was supposed to have stopped September, October is when all of the third-party cookies from Chrome browsers are out, and which now we've hit the kind of like the worst of the worst. But that if you are looking and measuring the ways that we've been teaching for months and years, you would never notice.
Yeah, no, it's true. The interesting thing is that I was just at part of this conference was actually there was some people from Meta there, and it was long rumored that detailed targeting in Meta is going away. It's going away.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of big news.
I don't know why this is so stupid. I kind of had a thought that it was already kind of going away.
Yeah, I mean, it's being degraded no matter what, but the point is that the creative makes the targeting now, really more so than anything. And we're certainly seeing that over on the Meta side.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I mean, that just sort of some breaking news here. We'll be talking about that quite a bit more here. Tangentially
just a little bit
related.
Of news.
Yeah, a little breaking news. I just realized that I hadn't told anyone that. So if you're here on this live, you heard it here first. Grant Longenbaugh. Go buy a Janus motorcycle, everyone. Like this company is one of the coolest companies. We're still trying to figure out how to work with these guys, but great to have you here, Grant. We'll figure something out. Let's see. Mike Griffin, book a call with Tier 11. Maybe there's something we can offer you now. We've just acquired a couple of agencies. Mike Griffin has a question. Hey, John, what are some discovery ad strategies, prospecting, and retargeting that have worked for you?
Yeah, so if we're talking about Google Ads and just the discovery campaigns, like I'm wondering if it was like the YouTube discovery is what we used to call them with the YouTube. It was basically just like not page feed, but I guess page feed. It's the page feed where you're looking at an image ad of the video, and then that's placed there like an organic listing on YouTube. Mm-hmm. Or if you're just saying like discovery ad strategies, like, hey, what is just prospecting and retargeting? But because it's discovery ad, I don't think that'd be retargeting. So it's either two things. One, are we talking about discovery of the campaign type in YouTube, or are you talking about just like, hey, prospecting ads? We have 6 minutes. If you can just respond, I can clarify that because I can rabbit hole either way.
Got it. All right. Yep. Well, Mike, give us some further clarification. Mark Pommet says, I don't understand why the standard shopping is able to spend. We just went through that, I think, a bit.
Yeah, Google is no longer allowing PMax to only take priority.
Got it. Also, is the PMax a full build with assets? Thanks.
Nope, feed only. We want this thing to be locked into PLAs.
Got it. Makes
now,
sense.
For clarification that people do not know, because you're only running feed in PMax, it does not mean it's only shopping. It means you're running a product listing ad on shopping, YouTube, GSP, Discover, and Display. They can all use your shopping ad. So be very mindful of that, because me and Mike Rhodes have gone back and forth on this, and we agree that we won't really know if that PLA is on display or was it in shopping. We have no visibility into that. And Mike Rose says we do not, but you can usually tell by CPC if something's 40 cents, it's probably not a high intense shopping ad. Those are usually like $1 to $3.
I love Mike Rhodes, by the way.
I love him too. That's why I was like, I don't want to disparage it, but we unanimously agree that it's directionally accurate.
Yeah.
But there is some holes.
Right. That's with everything. There's always some mystery here.
Exactly.
But Data Tutor says, what remarketing campaign do you prefer to use on Google alongside cold traffic standard shopping campaigns?
I love DSA. I think they're like one of the overlooked campaigns of the world. DSA is fantastic. My priority is search with exact match, then DSA, then broad match with smart bidding, feeder strategy too. Combine those together. And then anything else like cold traffic campaign, YouTube. I love YouTube. YouTube is fantastic.
Yeah.
It's the unsung hero. Just don't go too broad. You got to go specific, be intentful with it. But high intent YouTube, great.
Yeah. Tremendous.
Yeah. Don't be like, I'm targeting men in their 40s. It's like, holy crap.
Yeah. Oh my God. All right. But Data Tutor had follow up here. I've tested standard shopping campaigns with manual CPC, max clicks, and also low T ROAS. How come the T ROAS always has the best placements in shopping?
So that's the only campaign that uses half form traffic. Manual CPC is just like a bunch of first click from cold traffic. Max clicks, same thing, a bunch of first click from cold traffic. Low T ROAS, the reason why it doesn't spend is because it says, okay, I got 10 first clicks. I think 4 are going to buy. I will wait. Hey, those 4 came back. I sold them. See, told you I could do it. It predicts the ROAS, but also doesn't spend because it uses half form traffic and waits.
Right. Makes sense. Mike Griffin said it was discovery, the campaign type. I think the answer to your question back to Mike.
Got it. So I've actually stopped using those when YouTube AdSense for Google Ads kind of went away. Discovery is good. I would actually run more YouTube. Discovery was excellent. Had a bunch of great. I was getting like 6 and 7% click-through rate, custom thumbnails made, everything. I just could never actually measure in-app or top line. And I did not see any impact on top line with high spend and when we paused it. So you can run them. I would say run them as like a remarketing if you can. Mm-hmm. But I there's so much better option. I mean, if you had like $100 and you say, hey, I want to find someone new and how do I introduce myself to YouTube discovery versus Meta, 10 out of 10 Meta every single time. Way better of a platform for it. YouTube discovery is kind of like the, hey, you're Nike, so why aren't you doing it anyway kind of thing.
Right. Big brands be using that. Probably not the folks that are on this call. Well, you never know.
Exactly.
Mike Griffin question here. I would go back. Is there a video that shows your deep dive strategy and your deep dive into your feeder strategy? I would go back to like the last 5-6 episodes.
Yeah.
There was one that we did with Lauren. That doesn't talk about it quite as much. Well, actually it does with creative. We've done 4 or 5 videos on this in the last month and a half. I would just go back and binge watch those suckers.
Watch every single one of our videos. You'll find
watch every single one. A new one every week. We've only missed 1 week. I think you and I were, amazing. I don't know. I was sick and you were
dead.
Flying
Jail. I don't know. Something.
I don't know. Something happened. Here we are today. All right. SEO guru. I wonder if this guy really is an SEO guru. To run feeder strategy, does the CPC go lower if it's still showing the range from 50 to 100 in the maximized click campaigns? Do you add I assume, tracking template to the maximize click.
To run feeder strategy, does the CPC go lower if it's still showing the range from 50 to 100 in the maximize click? I don't know what the showing the range in the maximize click. It's meaning the maximize click is taking
your why he's an SEO.
Yeah, right. That's what I was wondering. Like, are you saying the max click campaign, or you're getting $50 and $100 clicks for the same keyword / and search term?
Yeah, not quite sure. Maybe this answers that. Still kind of freaked out to use the strategy because I see Arian like Phoenix for plumbing. Oh, he's been on the show before. Yeah. Plumbing keywords with exact match, charge 50 to 100 most of the time. I email you look at my question. You emailed John?
Emailed me a question. By the way, my spam blocker is like drinking 6 cups of coffee a day. I find such good stuff in there. I'm like, oh, that was caught by spam. So if you email me, I might have not actually seen it.
Crazy.
Yeah,
it's so much stuff. Yeah,
my PayPal started sending it to my spam, and I've had the PayPal account for like 12 years. I'm like, okay. Anyway, God. I know we have to get going, but let me just think this.
Let's see if we can get to the bottom of this question here.
Use the strategy because I see keywords exact match. Yeah. So here's the thing: is this will never say, "Hey, I can finally pay less than everyone else." We won't be able to like circumvent people in the auctions. What this circumvents is, does Google overcharge you when it should have been 50 and you're paying 200? This will drop down to 50. But if you were like, hey, I can manual CPC myself, and that manual CPC, as soon as I go below 50, impressions die off. Yeah. There's nothing we can do about this. This stops the overcharging. This does not allow you to underbid, if that makes sense.
But he is in the plumbing niche with $50 to $100 CPCs, though.
That's fairly common, yeah.
So
could we get the reason why is people use maximize conversion bidding on all of the plumbing type keywords. So like urgent, emergency, fast, 24 hours. Those are $400 and $500. I had a couple of plumbing clients that were like $400 CPCs, but they're like, yeah, but I get like an $18,000 job at 3 a.m. because they wake up and their kitchen's floating. Like it was okay. So because there is a lot of people that don't know how to properly bid for the right search terms, when you enter that space, it's like getting into the attorney. Like, yeah, you may have, like, if I did attorney near me, it's $400 a click. Unless I type in like elder law attorney, then it's like 8 cents. So it's just due to that, people using broad match bidding and then Google price fixing.
Yeah. Google price.
Cool.
I bet you Google. We're gonna get banned on YouTube one of these days just by saying Google price.
That'd be the best thing that happened.
That'd be the best thing.
I'm still looking at that black van out front.
As long as you stays away from your kids, exactly. That's the important thing. You're all right. Yeah. You're well armed.
I just have to. As soon as I get him in the safe room, I'm going out there.
Well, thank you for everyone who asked questions, came this week's show. Really appreciate everybody stopping by, and all our fans over on Twitter X. Thank God, and that increased the count here today. So, of course, this will be rebroadcast over on our YouTube channel. Check that out, tier11.com/YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to that, and don't miss the next Tier 11 Live next week with John, myself, and maybe Lauren. Lauren was traveling today, but we got to get her back on here to give like the creative element to things. And I want to see you guys sparring over traffic and creative. I think that's the most fun.
It'd be fun. Yeah.
It's all good.
What's so funny what's so funny is we both like agree so much that it doesn't make for good content.
I know.
You'll say something, I'm like, yeah, you're right. I'll say something. Yeah,
you're right. Yeah. I love when you say like, everything. It's all about traffic. Creative is secondary.
I'll just be like, with search ads, there's no reason for creative.
It's true. Like, to your point, just lob that over the wall and then run away. All right. Well, to see more of that, hopefully that'll be next week, next Friday. So, John Moran, have a fabulous weekend. I will tell her. Just poke the bear. Have a great weekend. Everyone else came today. Really appreciate y'all. We'll talk to you next week on next week's Tier 11 Live.
All right. Bye, everybody.
See ya.